Hi, I'm Jill.
And I'm Erin.
You're listening to Banter and Dish podcast.
We'll share relatable stories and recipes
with a hint of humor
and a dash of delight.
I like it. Welcome to Banter and Dish podcast. Whether you've been with us from the beginning or this is your first time, thank you so much for joining us. The format of the podcast is that we banter for a bit, then chat about an easy dish. And today's recipe is honey roasted carrots from Tasty. This episode is being recorded on June 5th, 2021, and will be available for you to stream on June 17th. So, Erin, are you ready?
I hope so. I really am excited. This is pretty awesome.
Yes. We're going to have parts of it in this podcast. Parts of it are going to be on YouTube. So check out all the places where you'll get to see parts of this interview.
All right, listeners, we have a legendary guest for you this week. So joining us today is Gary Golding from Naked and Afraid. The legend himself is here with us. And you can catch Gary and the rest of the Naked and Afraid legends on Discovery Channel Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern for the Naked and Afraid XL Challenge, Legends versus Swamp. The season is about halfway through, but you can catch up. You know, if you haven't watched the show yet, just jump in and start watching it because it's very entertaining and educational too. And you get to meet cool people like Gary, who's really cool with his fans. And we appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. It's my pleasure.
Awesome.
It's funny. I thought I'm perfect for a cooking show, but I think they're scared of me. They're scared of me.
No, we're intrigued.
All right. First of all, Gary, I'm Erin.
And I'm Jill.
I'm a huge fan. And I got Jill into fanning you too. Yes. So she's new. She's a new fan, but I'm
a new fan.
Well, thank you, by the way, because being a fan of mine, I'm dynamic across the board, right? Like I'm completely whacked. If people Google me, it's a bottomless pit of just like, oh my God, is this guy a serial killer?
Yeah.
Or like I teach 5-year-olds and then I eat dolphins off the beach, right? I mean, I'm just out there.
But that's great because you'll appeal to everyone, right?
No, because the way it works is people find that one negative thing and they just hold on to that. And then I get a lot of hate.
The dolphin thing. That was bad press for you.
No, actually, not for me, but Discovery Channel stayed away from me for a year. They were scared.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, I told them, don't shoot yourself in the foot. What are you doing? I just proved how real the challenge is. Like,
yeah, you do it outside too.
I do it in my everyday life.
Yeah.
Right.
To be fair, the dolphin was already dead. You found it, right? You didn't actually kill it.
First of all, I would never kill a dolphin. And
right.
Noah, you know what Noah is? They protect the mammals on the planet, the ocean mammals. And they gave me a fine.
Oh, wow.
I just released a video of me eating a dead raccoon off the road.
We saw.
We were going to talk about that.
Yeah, we have questions.
Yeah, because this is like, banter and dish. We got some banter and some dish here.
Yes.
We were wondering if you could share a dish with us.
Yeah. So I found 4 squirrels on the mountain road by where I bought some property. And I lived off these 4 squirrels for 2 days.
Oh, wow.
So I got this video I want to put together and I called the game warden and the game warden said, like, you're not allowed to eat any of that stuff. And I'm like, what? Like,
oh, wow.
So game animals you can't eat, right? So I said, not turkeys, nothing? Because I find all kinds of hit animals, right?
Right.
He said, no, you can't.
What?
Yeah, because you could hit it and then plant it on the road and act like you found it or something. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see. It might, yeah. Well.
So check this out. There's peacocks around the area. And I heard that the peacocks get hit sometimes, but they're not game animals. So you might see me eating a peacock. You never know.
For Thanksgiving or something, Got to have your bird.
That's right. Add a little flair to it, right? It's funny because if you watch the show, even the other survivalists look at me like, well, what are you eating?
Yeah, right.
Like, I'll be honest. When you see me in arguments out there, I'm truly baffled. Like, even they're still in restaurant mode in my mind.
Yeah. That was just on, the alligator, the first gator you guys caught.
Yeah, those are real arguments.
And to use every part of it, and they were like kind of arguing with you about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm truly baffled. I'm like, I'm a caveman. Like, I'm in this.
Yeah, I mean that's the real raw deal of it, survival.
I told Discovery Channel when they stayed away from me for a year, I said, don't shoot yourself in the foot. I just drove home how real this thing is. I said, I promise you'll be calling me back. And they said, well, we'll see. And then a year later, they called me back and I called up Discovery Channel and I said, hey, Told you so.
Yes, for real. All right. I've discovered you from Naked and Afraid, watching the show. I'm sure most everyone else has too. But you have a lot of other stuff going on. I checked out your website and you do all kinds of stuff, tours, appearances. You do custom built gardens, bee removal, weddings. So tell us a little bit about all that stuff.
One of my primary things was I was a garden teacher all over LA and beyond. I've been flown to New York and do assemblies. I was slated to do start touring New York and maybe even the nation and do assemblies. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
I'm really good with kids because I'm like a big cartoon character. And, Mr. Gary eats the big grubs out of the compost bin in front of the kids. And
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure the boys love that.
the little girls too, we have a fellow teacher sometimes or whatever, and a spider runs across the floor. And then I have all the 6-year-olds just with spiders running around their body. Like I let everybody hold it, and I'll change the whole course of the class because they're so intrigued with the spider. And then the other teacher will be like, don't pay attention to spider. We're talking about the ABCs. And I'll be like, what? No. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. And so the 6-year-old little girl will have a spider running around on her. And at the same time, she'll learn about how the webbing is stronger than steel and how hard it is to actually make them bite and how beneficial they are for the planet. And then their parents walk in and they can't believe their 6-year-old little girl is letting a spider run around on her body. Right. And because they would never do that. So I realize that it's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And so I grab onto that. And so a lot of people, it's weird that they're scared of that. They don't understand that, but it turns into a science lesson. And I would bring my own tarantulas to the school or even for the place I worked for. And I have the kids with tarantulas crawling on their head. And
oh, wow.
You're not allowed to do that, but I'm such a rebel that I would do that. And my company would get pissed. They'd be like, what are you doing? You can't do that. And I'm all, well,
I did.
I do.
Yeah.
It's hands-on. We need to come and visit you because Jill has a very real fear of spiders. So we're wondering maybe you can help her get over her fear of spiders.
I can get my tarantula down right now. I have a tarantula.
Oh
no, you don't. You have one right now.
Yeah. I lived off tarantulas on my Alone episode.
You ate them?
Yeah, I cooked and ate them, and I'm the survivalist that I eat tarantulas like cookies and maggots like ice cream.
Oh, wow.
If you watch this show, a lot of them are like, well, down the hatch, and I'm like,
yeah,
delicioso. And then pick my teeth with the fangs. So I have a whole different energy the way I do it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convey and teach even the viewer in a survival situation. Imagine having a mindset that enjoyed your situation. Isn't that the key to life?
Yeah.
Very true. That's a good philosophy.
That is.
Now, does anything gross you out? Doesn't sound like it would.
I would probably say maybe materialistic values a little bit.
Yeah.
So I will explain. This is a pretty powerful concept. I'm the only cast member on Naked and Afraid that's allowed to wear his logo from the first episode to the last because of the power of the sentence. And it's trademarked. Consume as little as possible.
Yes.
That's
because if every human being would consume as little as possible today, the planet would be cleaner by tomorrow. It's an action. It's a directive. It's not a belief where you pray to a deity for a beautiful heaven in the afterlife. It's an action that if we all did here could create a heaven and a paradise on earth.
Yeah, that is good. It's a sentence you can say to yourself every day too. I mean, it's easy to say, it's easy to think about. And when you're at the store or something and that you just play that in your head, it helps you to say, well, maybe I don't need to buy this. Maybe I don't, need all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
Erin, and it's that simple. I want you to be able to be an activist from your couch.
Yeah, right.
It's like the everyday person. It's that simple.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And convenience is important at times, but don't take advantage of it.
So I'm very fair, right? I'm very understanding. The mother with her cell phone and the car. Well, all I say is hey, just drive that car into the ground. Hold on to the cell phone for 5 years. Let's not just try to have the newest, latest thing all the time because that's where the problem comes in.
Right.
Very good points. So a couple weeks ago, on the episode of Naked and Afraid, you and your survivalist partner, Max, you guys found the honeybee hive. So we talk a lot about honey here on Banter and Dish podcast. And I learned something I didn't know about.
The bee suit?
From you. Yeah, the bee suit. Now, Jill.
Yeah, I don't know this. No.
Listeners, do you know why beekeepers wear white bee suits? I did not know. Jill does not know. But Gary, he said this on the Naked and Afraid episode, so I learned something. So tell us, Gary.
I'll specify, and it'll make total sense even more than what you saw on the show. There's no bees in the polar regions. What color are animals in the polar regions?
White.
White. Polar bears don't ever come across bees. So bees aren't programmed to go after anything white. Nothing white goes after a bee.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I never thought of that.
So that's why bee suits are white.
Really interesting. And then you also mentioned that the bees, because this might be a little
Erin,
embarrassing.
hold on. First of all, I want to give you credit for paying attention because it's so funny. I'm one of those people in fact, let's be honest. I am the primary. Everybody considers me like a wild card. Like I'm just like for Gary Golding, everything just is one big fluke.
Exactly.
He finds armadillos and pulls down beehives and kills alligators and like this food just lands in his lap because he's just one lucky weirdo, right? That's how they paint. Not realizing my level of knowledge.
Right.
I climbed my way to be a true legend on this show due to the fact of my knowledge is way more extensive than people can imagine. So I give you credit for paying attention because people get lost in the wildness that is me. They don't really absorb the actual intellect.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would say initially when, we were first on the show, I think, you kind of portrayed as the crazy guy, but I started to learn more about you and seeing you on more of the seasons. I was like, wow, you really are knowledgeable and you have a lot more to you than just being the crazy guy.
Well, you got to remember the crazy part on XL4 when I ate the head of that animal and the dead maggoty animal. Do you know how much knowledge you have to have of meat to be able to do what I did?
I would imagine. Yeah. On the show, you do a lot of scavenging, finding things. What is your everyday life like? Do you go to the grocery store or do you kind of just walk out and find stuff?
That's an interesting question. I have a YouTube video where I fed 50 homeless people on Skid Row from a trash dumpster. You should look it up. It's pretty interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And in the video, it starts out with me popping out of a trash can with a banana peel on my head. Now, I wasn't really going around in the trash. I ate the banana and I put the peel on my head and I dubbed in the sounds of glass breaking. So I'm trying to paint a gross picture in your head to see if you will pay attention to that or a man that fed homeless. A lot of times, if you don't like me and you're disgusted with me, I'm the one that put that there on purpose to see if you will utilize that or pay attention to the actual
I like that.
knowledge.
Yeah.
I'm way more calculated than people could imagine. I do it on purpose because I'm playing with society. As an artist, I consider myself an artist. As an artist, I'm toying with you and I'm seeing if you're going to pick the man that fed the homeless or if you're going to go to the gross outside. Because I want to expose you for your shallowness.
I like that. I like the psychology behind it all. And you're right. That is true. People will pick what they want to see. We saw the video of you using the pine pollen.
Yes. I invented that recipe and it came from the knowledge of Native Americans, how they would get acorns and pollen and make little cakes out of them to eat nutritionally. And I said, well, hold on. Instead of bleached white flour, right, which is devoid of nutrition, right? I could use this superfood that has 22 amino acids, all 8 essential amino acids, which makes it a complete protein. Phenylalanine, it keeps your prostate in check. One of the few things in nature that brings your testosterone up. And I was like, man, I'm going to make cakes, but pancakes. And so that lady had me on that show because I invented that recipe.
Wow.
For a cooking show, a lot of people don't know this about me. They're just seeing this guy that looks like he's doing wild stuff. But what kind of culinary skills must I have if I'm eating dead crap off the road everywhere?
Yes, I agree. Yeah. You know what you're doing in the kitchen, basically.
Yeah. So basically, I was going to actually give those courses and take people on pine pollen harvesting campouts for a 2-day thing. And then we cook with it and do stuff with it. And I was going to actually make that part of some of my courses for wilderness survival and wilderness knowledge, right? And I'm working on putting together a YouTube video called Crazy Things That Gary Golding Has Eaten, right? And there will be a dolphin, raccoon, and then the ants. The ants in Africa tasted like spicy lemon heads. They were so delicious. I don't know if you remember the scene of me just going, God, these are so good. And they had something called mopani honey out there, this tree called mopani, and it had these little flies that make this honey. I was like, man, if I find some of that mopani honey and I smash up these ants in it, it'll be like a spicy, lemony barbecue sauce. And I'll put it on the meat from now on, right? And so I'm even out there developing recipes.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's impressive. I'm impressed every time I watch the show. I could never do it. I mean, I couldn't sustain myself for anything. I can't even grow my own tomato plants. So
Yeah. So basically what you were asking in my everyday life, I'm a man who found a way to live off the land in Los Angeles, eating out of dumpsters, off of trees, finding a dolphin, a raccoon. I get paid to work in gardens and teach kids how to grow their own food. So I get paid to eat. In this one garden I work at, we have tangerines, apples, figs, guavas, pomegranates, mangoes, mulberries, grapes, all kinds of vegetables, even hydroponics. Wow. So if you wanted to eat a fish, and bananas, all in this one garden. So I get paid on the clock to literally eat organic food off of trees with children as I'm teaching them how to grow it. Wow. What I'm getting at is this. There's people that pay for their groceries, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then there's people that get it for free if you dumpster dive, right? Then there's me who gets paid to eat.
You get paid to eat good stuff.
To eat good food. Right?
Yeah, to eat organic food. And then I'm also a kayak guide for a company on the LA River, and I have my own tour company where I get paid to take people kayaking with whales and snorkeling with sea lions. So I don't know if that's not living off the land. I don't know what is.
Right.
Yeah.
And I carved this out in Los Angeles. I created this reality where you weave in and out and utilize the best of everything. Mm-hmm. You can take a Duraflame log to go into the hills and camp and make it comfortable. If you need some stuff, weave back down into the city and get some off the trees, like blend them, live in the hills and the city, utilize it all, make a hybrid, open your mind, create your own reality. And so you don't have to like move out to the hills or be a city dweller.
Yeah. See, I mean, you can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah. I mean, if they're at your
you don't have to go extreme one way or the other.
Yeah. If they're at your fingertips, utilize them, make it a hybrid, go on Craigslist and find free furniture, and the stuff you find is amazing actually. Just like blend it, make a hybrid.
Yeah. When my kids were little, my mom used to get things off the curb that people were discarding, and we would always call it her curbage. So I think she will definitely appreciate this philosophy that you're talking about.
Yeah, what a loser. I'm just kidding. My dad was the same way. I think that's where I got a lot of it from. We'd be driving down the road. My dad pulls over and he's always like looking at stuff, right, on the sidewalk. Yeah. So your mom is one of these, and that's me. Yeah. That's me.
She got my kids like big playhouses and picnic tables and sandboxes and all sorts of stuff that were discards.
Oh, so, I own a dump truck, and I had my own hauling business. I had trampolines. I had $3,000 playhouses. I'm talking those high-end ones where they use real roof shingles. Wow. Because rich people are just getting rid of everything. Yeah, right. I have a brand new Kohler tub that these people that had money had a little chip in the corner and they didn't want it, so they just disposed of it. And so I have a brand new Kohler bathtub that I put a fire underneath it, and I take cowboy bathtubs on my land. And
is there video of that?
There is. I have video of that. It's if you follow me on Instagram, I'll put those in my story. You'll see me in like taking baths with a beautiful view, and I'm with that, Jill. Yeah. Your mom and me see eye to eye.
She will appreciate this for sure.
Yeah. So is this something you started to learn as a kid, like sort of, consuming less and sort of survival skills?
People always go, how did you end up like this, being from LA, right? And it comes from part of a fascination, right? I was always that kid that had bees and spiders in a jar and together and was collecting bugs, and people knew this about me. So they'd give me little bug houses for like Christmas and birthdays. Yeah. But my grandmother, when I was like 3, I would help my grandfather garden in the backyard, and in the backyard, they had an orange tree, a lemon tree, a pomegranate tree, an apricot and a peach tree, a blackberry bush, and carrots and strawberries, all in the backyard. And it was all fenced in with a cement wall. And my grandmother would leave me out there barefooted just because I wasn't going to go nowhere. And she would just say, okay. And she would do all their housework and leave me out there alone. And I remember her telling me,
that was your first alone challenge.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And it's funny because I do actually go to the hospital my very first challenge, and for eating bad fruit. I ended up in the hospital in Brazil for 5 days. I got 3rd-degree burns down my throat, and I injured my kidneys. So anyways, this kind of goes with that. She says, just don't eat the seeds. They'll give you a tummy ache. I remember I was eating some lemons in the backyard. And then I remember I ate a seed. I was probably like 3 years old. I remember eating a seed.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no, I'm going to get a tummy ache, right? I thought I was going to get a tummy ache.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a tummy ache. So I ate 3, and then I ate 5, and I ate 10, and
No way.
and I ate 20, and I was
Oh my gosh.
and then I started those, you know how the peach pits actually kind of split sometimes the seeds, and you could see that almond size thing in there.
Yeah.
So I started eating those.
Oh my God.
Oh, no.
I was running experiments from an extremely young age. Yeah.
And nothing ever happened to you.
No, this is where my life starts summing up. This is why if you do see my character on Naked and Afraid or even on social media, now that I touch base with you, you'll understand it more. I'm kind of boisterous and arrogant, and I laugh in people's faces. People like they're stunned by I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm the one eating the dead carcass off the road. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm eating the pits to the fruit. Like I'm the one in the dark. I don't know how much heat I get in social media for look at this dummy not smoking the high about. I'm like going, so you're going to tell the guy who does this on the daily.
Right.
And so everybody's got their input. So this is what I'm getting at. I've always been that guy. So I would eat the seeds, and I learned that, no, you can eat a ton of seeds. The seeds don't do anything bad to you. So then I was eating an apple, and I was powering through the core, and I had a 17-year-old babysitter, and I was 10, and I was going through the core, and it's his job to keep an eye on me. Right. And he goes, hey, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right. And I go, what? And he goes, you're not supposed to eat that part. And I go, what? I'm 10 now. I've been running experiments for years, but nobody really knows. And so this has been a common practice for years for me at 10, right? And so I go, what? He goes, the seeds have cyanide in them, and they're bad for you. They'll give you a tummy ache. And I looked at him and I go, I've been doing it my whole life, man. You're bull crap. And then he goes, no, you can't. And so I looked at him like a little brat, and I was 10 because he's 17. Now I realize I'm stronger than him in this area. So I go, and I eat the apple core in front of him real quick. And I go, being a bratty little boy, right? And he goes, okay, if you get sick, you tell your mom that I told you not to eat that. And I go, I'm not going to get sick, man. Cause I would eat like 10 cores a day. And so,
my gosh.
So because I used to power down fruit. I would eat so much of it. I was being told by adults stuff that I could tell they didn't have the knowledge of. This is my life today. Right. And so now this will all start making a lot of beautiful sense. Then at around 9 or 10, I would grab the bees off the bushes at school. When I was a kid, we had those bushes with those little white flowers, and they attracted the bees, those little tiny white flowers. It would sting me, but I would take it out with my fingernail real quick, and I let the bees go. And then all the kids, I would get attention, being that this is why I'm probably a reality TV guy, right? I loved attention. So then I would take the bees, and I learned that they lived after they stung for a while. And so I would take 3 in each hand, and I would take them into class, and then I would sit there, and then I let them go. And so now there's 6 bees flying around the classroom. Everybody's screaming. They're landing in girls' hair. They're landing on the desk because they start getting sluggish. And everybody's screaming. And as a little boy, I'm in heaven. I'm like, look at this chaos. Gosh. So
you were wild in your early days.
Oh yeah. So now look, I'm told not to get stung by bees. I'm told not to eat the pits of fruit. Now it progresses. So here it goes. So then I'm also told not to walk around everywhere barefooted. They said you'll step on glass, you'll catch a cold, it's bad for your back. I was told everything. And then at the same time, I would show off for my cousins, and I could walk on glass, and I could walk on those aloe vera cactuses, and I could do all this. Wow. My feet were tougher than everybody's, and they're telling me how you're not supposed to do this. This is what created me. And then fast forward, later down the line, as I got older and started researching and seeing stuff in life, there is cyanide in those seeds. It's called vitamin B17 that they believe to be one of the things that kills cancer in the body that you can only get in pill form in Mexico, called Leotril. And then the melatonin in bee venom actually is not even used in research anymore. It's known to kill cancer in the body, the melatonin in bee venom. And they have this thing, which I tell people because I'm an asshole, which they called earthing and grounding. Have you ever heard of earthing and grounding?
Yes.
Okay. I do it every day.
Okay, now listen. Now forgive me, this is going to offend you, but I tell people, shut up. You're not allowed to call it earthing and grounding, guru, new agey person. We call it walking around freaking barefooted. We've been doing it before you were around. And so then I see this thing called earthing and grounding. I'm like going, oh, really? You're onto something new, are you? And I'm always barefooted. I get told in grocery stores all the time, can you please put your shoes on? So now here's the deal.
You don't walk around naked though, do you?
No, I get arrested. But so what I'm saying is, if I listened to the adults and I didn't do everything they told me not to do out of their fears, I got discovered to be a teacher because some teacher saw me online saving bees, and she asked me if I would come to the school and teach the kids about bees. I did it for free the first 5 times, and then they recruited me and said, oh my God, all this knowledge you have, you're so good with kids. And I became a teacher for 7 years, and then it gave me a resume, and I proved to be amazing at it. And I would bring the live bees to class, and I would get stung in front of the kids and show them how to remove a bee sting if they were on their own. So it became a practical lesson so they could remove the bee sting as quickly as possible. And then I taught them about the melatonin in the bee venom. And then I would let the bee go and let it fly around, or I would let the kids hold it because it lives for a while. And then it would fly around and the kids would be screaming. And I realized at that moment that in my 40s, I was getting paid to do what I did for mischief as a child. Yeah. So here's my point. My life ends up turning out all these things I was told not to do by adults as a child, ends up being what I end up teaching people to in knowledge area, and even how what you see on TV with me. And so my life has turned into, to all those adults, one big nah, 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 nah. Well, and you guys, listen, that's what people don't like about me. I get a lot of people that come at me thinking they're going to tell me a few things, and not knowing what I must know or what my experiences must be. And I'm looking at them going, oh, are you now? And
all right, you know what? I got to touch Gary. We were talking about the raccoon video. I got to bring it back up because I have to ask you about it. So the raccoon video.
There's a funny story behind that too. There's a funny story behind that.
Well, okay. At the beginning of the video, you found the raccoon, took it off the road. This was roadkill, by the way, listeners. Gary found
by a car.
It was dead. He didn't kill it.
So you put it in a cooler and you said, oh, I've had this thing on ice for 2 weeks. And then you pull it out and it's just like all water. And I'm like, I think the ice melted 2 weeks ago, Gary. I wouldn't. So explain that to me. Was that thing actually on ice, or did you forget about it? And then it seemed not fresh at that point.
Yeah, I know, right? It looked gross, right? Oh my God, that is so funny.
Yeah,
You're cracking me up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to listeners. I'm cracked up because you know why? Because I know even more than you do. So I'm laughing my butt off.
Okay, good.
So check this out. I'm on my way to go meet some clients to take them kayaking and snorkeling. And I see this raccoon and I'm like, oh crap, I'm going to grab that thing. I've been wanting to eat one. And Matt Wright, the guy on the show, Matt, the hunter.
Yeah.
He's the one that told me, oh man, raccoon's delicious, man. It is so good. Yeah. So I see that raccoon and I pick it up off the road. And at the same time, what isn't in the video, because, I can't put too much in there's some cyclists, there's cyclists coming up the hill. And I hold it up in front of the cyclist. I go, I'm going to eat that. And he's all, what? And he stops on his bicycle and he goes, what? And I go, I'm going to eat this. And he goes, wow. So my cousin's ex-husband is driving up the road in a car. I don't know. He drives by and I get a text saying, did I just see you on the side of the road with a raccoon? Anyway, so all these things are happening, right? So I go and I put that raccoon on ice. I go meet my clients. So I got this raccoon in the ice chest, but they have to get in my van to put on the wetsuits. So they don't know it. They're all three sitting on top of a dead raccoon while they're putting their wetsuits on, right? What happens is, just so you know, to answer that question, I kept replenishing the ice to keep that thing cold the whole time. So I didn't let it turn into warm, soppy water.
Yeah. I was going to say lukewarm water. Yes.
Because that would not have worked.
Well, that's
good.
Well, you said it didn't smell. It would have smelled a little probably if the water was
it would have
room
reeked.
temperature.
It would have reeked if it was room temperature water. And so I kept replenishing it. I was looking for that window of time to where I had time to butcher it because I was so busy. So I had to just keep adding ice to it. I must have added ice. Maybe ice lasts a couple of days. So every couple of days till that week and a half I kept adding ice.
All right. Yeah, I was really worried about you when I saw that. I was like, I don't know.
Well, I like that your dog wasn't willing to eat it at first. That part cracked me up.
In the dolphin video too, he wouldn't eat the dorsal fin of the dolphin. And so it's so hilarious what he adds, huh? He adds that part. He recently died. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I heard on one of your videos about that.
He was delicious. No, just kidding. No, but Frankie did recently die.
You draw the line there, at least, right?
He was my little buddy, and he's hilarious in that video. How he's like, is there something I need to know? A dog won't eat this?
Right.
This is neat.
So wow. but you ate it and it was fine. You didn't get sick or anything.
It was, as Gary Golding says,
delicioso.
That's right. It was delicioso. So yeah, it was actually very good, and the squirrels were very good. Here's a funny thing that I do to people sometimes. They'll be, because everybody does this, right? Oh God, I love dolphins, and I go, yeah, me too. They're delicious.
I have to say, I love your lives, Gary. You've been doing the lives. I don't know how long you've been doing it, but I just started watching them recently with the other castmates from Naked and Afraid XL. And I was cracking up at that story Matt Wright told about the beaver and his girlfriend. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Hey, one thing that you don't get from Matt on the show, what you get a lot from me is a lot of humor, right? From me on the show, yes. on the challenge. So what you got to see with my lives, Erin, which is cool, which you'll notice about him, you kind of get to hang out around like the Naked and Afraid fire with us. In fact, talking about it, I might even call it that, like the Naked and Afraid fire or something, because if you watch them, you hear stuff from these survivalists, right, that you never knew about them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun for the fans. I mean, we like it. We appreciate it. And we appreciate you taking the time to connect with us because it makes it a lot more fun, and I do enjoy those live. Well, I have to ask you a little bit more about Naked and Afraid.
I got nothing but time.
I got to ask, how many challenges have you been on?
I think I broke a record. In my first year, I was probably on 18 episodes. They use me in all the outtakes. I'm in both of the funny ones, Naked and Weird and Naked and Afraid, Just Kidding. Both have me introduce them. I open all the funny episodes too, all the special outtakes. And then there's Naked and Afraid Eaten Alive. It's about bugs. There's Naked and Afraid Animal Encounters. So there's all these extra episodes, and I'm always in those too. But I've done 5 challenges, but I think I've been in like 20 something episodes now. And because I have an alone one that I did alone, but on that same day when that alone episode came out, they do a 2-hour episode before that called Gary's Journey. And they lay out my journey in the Naked and Afraid world.
Oh, okay.
And then if you consider every XL comes out with at least 10 episodes, right? And so, but I've done 5 challenges.
You didn't have any tap outs, right? Or did you have
No, on my first challenge, I'm medically tapped. I get taken out on a stretcher with an IV in my arm, vomiting profusely, and helicoptered to the hospital.
From the fruit.
And from this.
Okay, yeah.
On day 8, before that happened, my producer, David Story, on day 8 or 9, I hadn't eaten and I'm starving and I'm working at 100-degree temperatures, carrying big logs, just working. And I never once complained. I never once say I'm hungry. And I never once complained. And then they were interviewing me and going, man, you haven't eaten for 9 days and you never complain. Like you always joke and you're just always upbeat. They were asking me, what makes you like this? How come you're like, they said, usually every cast member at this point is complaining about hunger. They ask us for help. They complain. He told me, he goes, but you never complain. And then a local smuggled me 3 coconuts out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because they saw me. I was so beat up that this local saw me and was like, felt sorry for me. Right. They're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Because they really put us through the ringer. They really torture us out there. Right. And I'm famished. I'm dirty. I'm riddled with bug bites. And so this local couldn't help himself. He had to be a humanitarian. He smuggled me 3 coconuts in the middle of the evening and I put them down and I left them there. And they were there for 3 days. And the producer was watching those coconuts. And he said, Gary, you're starving. You haven't eaten for 9 days. And you could have ate those coconuts. You didn't eat them. And you could have got away with it. And then the producer said, I can't believe, your integrity. Like we have problem with people sneaking up to the camp, trying to steal the candy bars or out of our backpacks. Yeah. That's why on day 8, he goes, will you do XL? I looked at him and I said, yeah, dude, I just want to get through this. I don't want to be a freaking reality TV star, dude. Like, let's talk about that later. And here I am, right? 5 challenges deep.
Yeah.
But on my 8th day, I was asked to do XL.
Wow. Okay. So did it get kind of addicting then? You mentioned maybe going into this not planning to keep doing it, but since you've been on so many seasons, is it kind of addicting to do these challenges?
The next time they asked me to go on XL, I knew I would be on like 10 to 12 episodes and I knew that I would become a bigger name. And so that's why 2 weeks before that, I went and got Consume as little as possible tattooed on my back because I believe in this so much that I knew it was my responsibility that the universe had given me something to carry a message to the world. And so I was like, man, like I have to do this. It's almost like, who gets this chance. At my age, I'm not going to be a rock star or whatever. Like, I have broken into mainstream media. The universe gave me this. I'm going to carry a message to the world. So I saw a lot of purpose behind it. And I thought it was seen by 40 million people on earth. I found out it's seen by 91 million people on earth in so many languages. Wow. And I was like, wow, I have a long reach here. Yeah. Because I want to be bigger than this, in a sense, to where so if this documentary comes out to where I'm really carrying a message to the world, I've kind of come to a point where I'm like a little bit in my head, to answer your question, is like, this is kind of almost just become what I am.
So how did you get on the show originally? Did somebody reach out to you, or did you apply to be on it, or how did that work?
I had a friend who would rehearse in this building that I have. I ran out a bunch of rehearsal studios to musicians. And he was like, being a musician, he was going to go to school and learn how to be an editor for TV. So 12 years pass. And I'm in a place called Palos Verdes one day. I'm jumping off the rocks doing flips into the ocean. It was a rough day. A 19-year-old kid sees me doing it and jumps in the water and starts getting washed in and out of this cave. Oh, no. And he's fighting for his life. Oh, wow. And I go in the water after him and risk my life. And then we end up pulling this kid out of the water. And it's all caught on camera. And I give him CPR and I bring him back. Oh, wow. And I save his life. And it went viral around the world. God. So anyways, that guy that I knew from 12 years before was watching TV and he goes, whoa, I know Gary Golding. Oh, wow. So he Googled me. Oh, wow. And now he's in TV land and he saw all the stuff I do with kids and bees and nature. And he's all, oh my God, dude, I saw what you did. And I saw the stuff you do with your life. Mm-hmm. He goes, dude, we got to make a show about your life, bro. Mm-hmm. We start putting together like reels to pitch to the networks to give me my own show. Yeah. He starts pitching me to the networks and they say, yeah, this guy's good, but he's not a celebrity. No one's going to watch him. Oh. And we tried for a couple of years, right? So he goes and he's still editing. He's working for Swamp People and Deadliest Catch and all these shows, and starts working at Naked and Afraid. Oh, wow. So he goes, dude, I work at this place now. You're perfect. You're perfect. He goes, you want to be on this show? You want to do this challenge? He goes, dude, this will be the next step to sort of bring you to that. What those other networks told me, this will get you to that point. We'll get you. And so, so it's part of a strategy, a bigger strategy, right? Right. I go, sure. What the hell, dude? Let's do it. So here's what I'm getting at. It's a friend who saw me on TV saving a human life. Mm-hmm. And then it triggered him to pay attention to me. Then he starts working for the show. So when they brought me on to Naked and Afraid, what they did like about me is this man that teaches children, who has the Carnegie Hero Medal for saving human life in nature. Mm-hmm. It kind of all goes together, right? It goes together from my story as a kid being into nature and being a survivalist, mixed with actually saving a human life in the ocean, combined with the extra little thing of having a friend that worked there. Right.
I'm glad it worked out for you, because it is a pleasure to get to know you, even though it's just through the television. But I am, it's exciting to learn more about you and your message.
Just the interviews, just to get on the show, just to do the challenge. Those, like right from the gate, they were all the people that worked there. The interviewers, they were like, is this guy like? My interviews are wild. They were wild. They were like.
They need to release those.
They do, I swear. They realized that there was knowledge and wisdom behind the wackiness. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. At the psych interview, the psychiatrist says to me, he goes, you do realize that you come off as hugely egotistical and grandiose, right? And I leaned into him and I go, hey, look, man. At the time, I thought only 40 million people watched. I go, hey, look. I got a message for the world. If I get on this thing by being egotistical and grandiose, well, then good for me, because I have a platform to be heard by 40 million people. I'll take it. Yeah, I'm grandiose. I'm egotistical with purpose. Yeah. He goes, I like your message, man. Good luck out there. And so that's what people don't understand. Right. And so when I asked the producer, when I was out there for the first 8 days, I said, hey, Dave, I said, what did they tell you about me, the casting agency? And he goes, they told me that you were a vulgar loudmouth. And I said, what do you think about me now that you're out here with me for 8 days? He goes, they don't know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I said, and I told him, I said, Dave, I did what it took to get here so I could carry a message to the world. If they don't get it, that's okay, as long as I'm climbing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I'm glad you're able to get your message out there. And I think Jill and I we would love to take a Banter and Dish field trip to LA one day soon. And we're going to come visit Gary, do a tour with you. in LA.
I show people LA like they couldn't even imagine LA is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Jill and I have never made it to the West Coast yet, so we're planning on it.
It's on our list.
That far.
Yeah. If you make sure you connect with me if you do, because I just advise people, because I'll tell you, California is tricky. Mm-hmm. You got to know when to drive, the certain times to move around. The best places, I tell you where I go, like a native, where I go to do cool stuff and have fun stuff, Mm-hmm. I'll tag you guys on the Banter and Dish Instagram, and you'll be able to see some cool stuff.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Have you ever been to Pittsburgh, Gary? Have you ever been here, Pittsburgh?
No, I wanted to go. I'm going to Tennessee coming up. They're having a thing where some fans and cast members are getting together, but I've been to Indiana. That's not too far from Pittsburgh, right?
Not too far.
I had 2 girls come from the Poconos that took one of my tours. I taught them how to snorkel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We are well known in Pittsburgh for the Steelers.
I know that.
And Belushi. Do you eat Belushi? Yeah, Terry Bradshaw. There you go.
Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Who'd you say?
Old school.
Belushi is
Belushi. Do you eat halushki? Yes.
Halushki, what's that?
You don't know halushki either.
Oh, that's probably something I wouldn't eat.
Probably not. No,
it's probably too normal. Well, if you ever come to Pittsburgh, we'll make you some halushki, Gary.
What is that, like a German dish or?
It's like, I guess.
I'm gonna research.
Probably
it.
Polish, sort of.
Polish. It sounds Polish. Yeah.
Slovak dish. Yeah, sort of.
Cabbage.
Yeah, it's cabbage noodles and butter.
Oh, that sounds delicious. I love cabbage. Yeah.
It's a well-known dish here in Pittsburgh. Anyway, well, it was really great having you on. And can you just give us your message one more time? Tell us your message again, Gary, so it's loud and clear to our listeners.
I have a vision. I want to see the day when the man or woman with the least amount of possessions is the most admired. A day when a woman is ashamed to hold out her finger with a rock on it and say, "Look what he got me." That should have nothing to do with love. I want to see the day when being a minimalist is fashionable and sexy. A day when the man or woman who consumes the least is the most attractive. Is that so controversial? Consume as little as possible. If every single human being on earth did that today, the planet would be cleaner by tomorrow.
Great message.
Yes. And we do appreciate your time so much. And you've been a lot of fun.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. You guys are fun.
Well, I'll say, Gary, Erin said she was a big fan beforehand, but now I am a big fan as well. I love your message, and I'm glad you came on the show.
Thank you very much. I'm honored. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, definitely. And so for all of our listeners, you can find Gary on social media. He's on Instagram. You're on Instagram, Facebook. Is that where you're at mostly?
YouTube.
Yeah, I'm a lot on Instagram, Tarzan of Los Angeles. If you Google Tarzan of Los Angeles, there's tarzanoflosangeles.com. Just garygolding.com. If as my name becomes more of a household name, I'll probably start leaning into that more. But Tarzan of Los Angeles is a very good tagline, very unforgettable. People remember that easy. So Tarzan of Los Angeles, or Gary Golding. You could find me.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So if you're ever in LA, you got to check out Gary, go on a tour with him. It will be memorable and fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Gary. We really appreciate you taking the time, and we hope you had fun with us. And maybe hopefully we can have you back on to do a recipe with us one day, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding? I have recipes. And hey, remember to reuse, recycle, ride your bicycle, and refuse to abuse this beautiful planet we live on.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Gary.
All right, Gary. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun with Gary.
That was.
And you guys are probably like, after that, are you seriously going to tell us a recipe?
It's a quick one.
It is a quick one. Yes. It is 3 to 5 ingredients if you count salt and pepper. So, and one of the ingredients, Erin, is honey.
That's interesting because we just talked about honey with Gary. So
with Gary and the honeybees. So anyhow, this is called honey roasted carrots from Tasty. And again, super quick and easy. You can throw it together in 5 minutes. you have 6 whole carrots, or you could, cut them up if you wanted to, but I just did mine whole. I cut the ends off. I peeled them. You probably don't even have to peel them if you don't want to, but I would definitely wash them. 2 tablespoons of melted butter, 2 tablespoons of honey, and salt and pepper. So basically you just put the carrots in your baking dish. You drizzle on the butter and the honey, sprinkle on the salt and pepper. I just rolled them around, and then you bake it at 400 for about 30 minutes.
Okay. Yeah,
easy.
That's nice and easy.
I like them a lot. Lloyd took one bite, and you could probably guess he didn't like them.
Yeah, well, he doesn't like carrots, right?
Doesn't he?
I thought this came up at some point. Maybe
I think he likes them okay.
Someone else.
The thing that he said he wasn't really a fan of was the honey taste.
Oh, okay.
So ease of preparation, obviously, 5. Taste, I'm going to say 3. I thought they were good, but there was nothing, in my opinion, that was spectacular about them. And digestion, 5. Nice and easy.
Okay.
So pretty much, guys, that's it. Our dish is quick and easy, just like the actual recipe.
Yeah.
Do you like carrots, Erin?
I do. Yes.
Awesome.
I do like carrots. I'm not a big honey person, but.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if you could substitute syrup.
Candied carrots?
Candied carrots. That might work. Give it a try, guys. Let us know. Okay, so next week I am actually going to make cast iron pizza. There are plenty of cast iron pizza recipes out there. The one that I'm going to base mine on the most, because I will modify a little, is from the Food Network.
Okay.
I've never made cast iron pizza before. I'm really excited to try this.
Cool. All right.
Do you have cast iron pans, Erin?
I do not.
I inherited some from my grandma.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. They're still in good shape.
They're in great shape. I cook in them a lot. I've never actually baked anything in them in the oven. I use them as skillets all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love them. My grandma always used them. I have 3. So that'll be next week. So, hey, stay tuned for that, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening to Banter and Dish podcast. We hope you got a chance to laugh with us today and learn something from the legendary Gary Golding. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And if you're enjoying the show, please like, rate, review, and subscribe. And probably most importantly, tell someone about us who you think would enjoy the podcast too.
Yeah, especially if you know any Naked and Afraid fans. Make sure you let them know about this episode. I'm sure they'd love to hear Gary's interview.
Yeah.
Remember, you can like and follow us and find us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube by searching at Banter and Dish Podcast. And make sure you check out YouTube and our social media this week for fun YouTube videos with Gary.
Yeah.
So thanks for hanging with us this week. We hope you enjoyed our interview with the legendary Gary Golding, and we hope you guys come back and hang out with us next week.
So stay tuned and stay safe. And wherever life may take you this week, try to add a hint of humor.
And a dash of delight.
Can we take a picture with you? We like to take a picture with our guests.
Absolutely. Here, should I hold a knife or something weird?
Yeah, that would be great.
Do you have some dead animal carcass you can hold up?
Always. Yeah, right here. Here, let me grab it
All
here.
right.
There's always a dead animal carcass with Gary Golding.
Anything you say that don't worry about if it's not like,
Well, hold on, Erin. Do you think I ever freaking worry about what I say?
Well, no, you don't, and I don't. You might be a little worried. You definitely are one of my favorites on Naked and Afraid.
No. I'm your favorite.
You are my favorite on Naked and Afraid.
I'm just kidding. I'm teasing you.
I've been on the Zoom for 3 hours and 31 minutes.